Welcome to the Confident Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Johnson. If you find yourself here, it may mean that you're looking for courage, clarity, or confidence in some part of your life. I interview experts in business and life each week and share strategies for success, motivation, and mindset. If you'd like to learn more about how I can help you grow your business as an extension of yourself and help transform you into a confident entrepreneur, check out my website, jenniferannjohnson.com, or join my private Facebook group called The Confident Entrepreneur. Now let's get started. Today, we welcome into the studio Michelle Borders. She is the co-founder of Naples Network Services. Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Jen.
And I got to say, this topic that we are talking about today, when I think of this topic, I think of you immediately. Networker. You are a connector in every sense of the word.
And it's part of my company name too, but really nothing related.
I know, but it's so, you have invited me to so many things and so many groups and so many different things. And everybody, you go show up at the group and they're like, well, how did you hear about it, Michelle? How did you hear about it, Michelle? You connect everyone and you do a phenomenal job at it, whether or not you're, setting out to do that. You just do it out of the kindness of your heart because that is who you are.
I just feel like it's fun when I'm passionate about something to share with others, and I'm always genuine and sharing what I really like. So Toastmasters, for instance, you joined Toastmasters, I think, based on something I put on LinkedIn.
I did.
But it changed my life, and I feel like our group has really grown, and they told two friends and so on and so on. It's great.
It's pretty phenomenal. And what I want to talk about today is networking and small business success, because they do go hand in hand. You think about, for example, your business, right? Network services. So you're dealing with IT. I say IT stuff because it's stuff that I am so not good at. And it's word of mouth. They have a great experience, then they share. That's networking too.
Well, and I feel like you don't even have to know. I'm personally not the tech person, but it's really based on relationships. And when you go to these networking events, you're building relationships, whether you're starting in your business or you're established for 10 or even 20 years. You never know. I actually made a new connection at a luncheon for the chamber, and it was the greatest connection ever. And you would think most people that go to those are brand new businesses trying to grow their business and meet people. But every once in a while, you're going to meet that person that you're like, wow, Sue, who joined our Toastmasters group. And we just clicked and had so much in common. And if I hadn't attended that lunch I'm not a new business, or I really need to go, I wouldn't have met her. So I just think it's great. And I was able to connect her to some people in the community that I thought would be a good fit. And I just think it's fun to think of, who would be a good connection.
Right. Absolutely. And it is instrumental to small business success, in my opinion. Why do you see it that way, that it's instrumental in the growth of small business, and why?
Because you can, let's say you're having an issue in your business, you can talk to other professionals, even in the same field, that may have already experienced it. They can give you some advice. I'm just saying, on my end, being established for 20 years in my business, but also you can partner up with people. Let's say you have the same values, but I send all my residential to a few different people, or someone needs software. I don't do software. I have a partner that I literally met at a Naples Chamber event years and years ago, and they cover for us when we go on vacation. I send them the bigger jobs. You need partners in your field. At least that's the way we work it.
Right. And I couldn't agree more. That makes complete sense, because if you know you can't serve that customer, you're going to build the confidence that person has in your business by referring someone else, right? Oh, well, they didn't think they could do it, or we couldn't, it wasn't for them. They couldn't provide the services I needed, but they were kind enough to tell me somebody else who could. Right. Speaks volumes.
And it's good to have more than one person like that, because what if they're on vacation and they can't do it? You never have to say no. And then in turn, if it's a official partnership, you can make a commission if it ends up working out.
Exactly. And what are some of the best ways as small businesses that we can do that networking?
So you can do it in person at events. You can do it on social media. You can, after you meet them, I always make it a point to email after 24 hours if at all possible. Then once we connect that way, then I'll send them a LinkedIn message and say, please consider connecting here as well. I don't think one person has said no yet, but I asked them to consider it because we're not that close. Do you want to connect? And I figure LinkedIn is the most professional, but also once you're feeling friendly, then you can be friends on Facebook. And rather than just liking their things, say something. And then it gives you something to talk about the next time you see them. So that's a good way.
So you kind of have a system, it sounds like,
Yeah,
to
I do.
check all those boxes. I'm like, how does she do all this? How does she know what to do? Because I see you everywhere. And
well, I learned from the beginning that you always put your name tag on the right side. I don't know why, but
I was doing my left forever until someone said, I don't think it's right.
That's the rule, right-hand side. And just to make it all about them. Don't be too salesy. I thought, my first one, I'm going to go here. I'm going to get all these customers. I'm passing all these cards. No, it's not what you do. You make it all about the other person because the more you make them feel special, they'll always remember that. And you dress appropriately, make sure you're not too flashy, but you want to be comfortable. And it's fun. It can be fun. It doesn't need to be nerve-wracking, even if you don't know anyone.
And you know what's interesting? Like, I know you said you do have a system, but it never comes across like you do. Do you know what I mean? Like some people, you get these emails or these messages on LinkedIn or wherever all the time. And you're like, oh, I feel like I'm in their funnel.
Right. But or saying the same thing to the same person. Sometimes you could take notes and try to reference something that you discussed. And you don't have to meet every person in the room. Some quality connections are better than 100. Hi, how are you doing? Here's my card. Moving on.
Exactly. No. Like I find going to the bigger events, it's harder to do the one-on-one for 10 minutes, right? So how do you work that room? How do you do that when
I try not to be distracted when I'm talking to someone. I want them to feel like they're the only person in the room. And I don't want to be like, I have to say hi to that person, which is really hard.
It is. I know.
But you get better at it as time goes on because you realize that's the polite thing to do.
Right. And that's what it's about. You're not there just for a number or a dollar sign. You're there for that relationship. Right.
Absolutely. And I made a list of my favorite groups, so to speak. So if you're brand new to town, I say I have a list of all my favorites.
I love that.
It's like, and people always like that. And I say why I like this group. I belong to this group. And even though it's only one per category, maybe someday. And
so do you share with people like in an email, or you just
I might talk to them and see if they're interested. I don't share it with everyone, whoever, but I'll do anything. I like to connect you with someone that I think might be good for your business, or just you're the same kind of people, especially the new people at town. They're looking for anything.
Do you carry a notebook to write all this stuff down? Because my gosh, like, how do you
I do have a notebook. I got away from paper for a while. I was paperless, but you know what? Sometimes you just need to write things down, even if you go to your car and hurry up and write it down after.
Right. I'm a paper person myself, because even you're going to laugh, but my planner, I think you actually said that to me once.
I know, I saw it.
You really have? Yeah. I can't live without it.
You could.
I know I probably could, but I choose not to. It's like reading a book. I'd rather read a tangible book than listen to something on whatever that's called.
I used to have a wall calendar. I've had it on the wall calendar and on my Outlook, and I got rid of that during COVID, I think. But still, taking notes is good, I think. And to each his own, whatever works for you.
Just whatever can jog your memory about that person. And even making notes. I've heard of people making notes in their phone under the person's contact information that will, that's right. I know I'm seeing so-and-so today. And you can be, whatever you have is in your phone, because you're always going to have your phone. Always, right?
And I have another good suggestion is setting up coffee dates with people, the ones you really connect with, because you can't be going to coffee every single day, but You know, just certain ones you'll know. So coffee dates, I think, are good. And I never go to coffee in the morning or in the afternoon. I go at the end of the day because personally for me, that's better time to leave my office. So I go to coffee at 4, but I usually people are willing to do it.
Yeah. Just know when your time is.
And I can still drink that coffee and sleep in case you were worried.
I was wondering about that. Michelle does this wonderful speech on sleep. And I've heard it and it's great. It's funny and it's engaging and it's absolutely wonderful. So
thanks. Everyone loves it.
They do. Is your closet overflowing? Or maybe your kids' closets are as well. Or maybe you just want to redecorate your house. If you're wondering what to do with all that stuff that you've accumulated, bring it all to True Fashionistas or even ship it to them for free. They'll sell your unwanted items for you, take away all the hassle, and do all the work. All you have to do is sit back and collect your money. You can reach out to them online at truefashionistas.com. Come into the store or check them out on Facebook or Instagram, and that's truefashionistas.com. Welcome back, friends. We are in the studio with Michelle Borders, and she is the co-founder of Naples Network Services. And like I said at the top of the podcast, when I think of networking, when I think of connecting, I think of Michelle Borders. Pure and simple, I think of you.
That's awesome. Thanks.
So talking about social media, how can we use social media as a tool? Like LinkedIn, for example, even though LinkedIn, maybe, I guess it's still considered social media. How can we use something like that as a tool to network with people?
Well, I think it's important to pay attention to what's going on because you'll always have something to talk about. That's a big deal to me. And I was out with someone last night and they mentioned that someone was in the hospital. I said, I missed one day. I know I try to do it a little bit before bed just to catch up if I've been busy all day, but you really do need to catch up. So,
right. Do you find obviously business to business is better on LinkedIn, right? And keep you, like you had mentioned, and then I become friends with them and then we become friends on Facebook kind of thing. Do you think you should start out at LinkedIn if you're working on a business to business relationship?
That's absolutely where I always start on LinkedIn. And I even found growing our Toastmasters group that I got better response on LinkedIn because people are thinking about business and Toastmasters is increasing your confidence and the way you present yourself and getting rid of your ums and ahs.
Oh, exactly. Right.
So that's a professional thing.
Right.
So I think definitely,
and I had just talked with you a little bit ago about how do you keep a notebook, that kind of thing, but how can we follow up with people? Now, I know you have a system, but how early is too early to, I met with this person. I met them at an event last night. I think you said 24 hours is what you do.
You should. You really should, because then you remember what you discussed and the longer time goes on, as soon as you can, I think you really should follow up. And I was just thinking about another thing, business cards. Do you keep all of them?
No. Do you?
I used to. And that gets out of control.
It does.
So during COVID, I went through all the business cards but that was good because it was okay. But you know what? Still, after the flood, I was like, okay, I lost a lot of stuff. And so now what I do is I connect with the people on email with their business card. Then I connect on LinkedIn. And then I don't keep them anymore. Because why? How many would you have?
Right. I know that there are some handy dandy little new things that have come out.
Oh, you can scan them. Yeah.
With your phone, or I can pull up an app on my phone and basically connect with you on your phone. So it's completely paperless kind of thing. I don't remember what it's called, but I had done it and I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat.
Oh, instead of giving you a business card. Okay.
Right. And then there's another thing that actually has it's a tangible, like a metal plate. Maybe it's not metal, maybe it's plastic. And you'd bring that with, and they scan it and then connect with you that way. And they automatically go into your contacts, I think is what it is.
I think I've heard of that too.
Yeah, I don't remember the names of these things, but
still, I don't know. Sometimes old fashioned
No, I agree. I totally agree. And are there any other tips that you have for networking, business to business or person
I say respond to people because I have 2 piles of the business cards after an event. And the ones I hear back from, I connect with. The ones I never hear back from,
just garbage.
That's it. So
done.
Why are you there?
Exactly.
Why are you there? You're wasting your money for paying for the event. You're wasting your time. You have to follow up, and you have to consistently follow up. Let's say one time I went on a trip and I had this stack of 15, 20 cards from some big event, and I couldn't follow up for, let's say, a week, but I still did because I don't want to waste your time.
Exactly. But I think a lot of people do waste their time because they don't look at all of the context that you could harness by just reaching out to them once, starting that dialogue, starting that conversation, right?
Also, sometimes you go to events, they'll give you a list of, okay, here's the 30 people that attended. But I don't bother with that because I'm only going to connect with the ones I connected with.
Yeah.
What am I going to say hi to? Hey, I didn't meet you.
It doesn't make sense.
Not to me, but some people email the whole list. Not to me.
Right, because they're looking at it from a different lens. They're looking at it from ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. How much money can I make here? They came about it all the wrong reasons, right? They didn't look at it as a human connection or relationship. They looked at it as a quick dollar, maybe.
And it's okay not to connect to all those people. It's okay, but you have to get to that mindset.
Exactly. What do you think about sending thank you cards or note cards?
Oh my gosh, that's so good. Whenever I get something, a hard thank you card, I'll never forget it. I save it.
Yeah. Right.
And that's just so uncommon these days. But I would only do it I'm not going to send one to all 30 people.
Right.
I would only do it for special. Otherwise, it's not going to be special.
Right.
But yeah, huge.
Do you remember when in your life, I mean, have you always done this? Have you always been a connector, or did you just something one day go, you know what?
No, once I started working with my husband in this IT business that I know nothing about, I thought, oh my gosh, computers, it's so boring. How am I going to do this? I don't get it. Then once I came to the realization, I don't have to get it. It's all about relationships. And then I just thought, instead of passing out all the cards, trying to get all this business, being salesy, once I started just treating people like I cared about them and friends, the world came to me, and it's just treating people the way you want to be treated. It's the golden rule. And that works so much better.
It does. And I'm a testament to that. I would not be in half the things if it were not for you.
Aww.
You know, you brought me to so many different groups to meet so many different people. And I treasure that. I think that is amazing if it were not for Michelle.
Well, if anyone wants my list of favorite groups, let me know. And I'm always happy to make an introduction or anything.
You are my go-to if I'm like, I need this. Do you know of someone? I always know that you'll probably know someone or know somebody who will know someone.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, so that's important because as small business owners, as individuals, we need to know that, you know, we're there to make that human connection.
Right. And if the business doesn't come now, someday.
Exactly.
And when people say, and how can I help you? I always say, someday you might be able to help me.
At the end of the day, it's all about that relationship.
Absolutely.
Totally agree with that. Well, I loved our conversation. If our listeners want to get in touch with you, Michelle, how do they do so?
I would say the best way is by email, mborders@naplesnetworkservices.com. You can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect, and I'm happy to introduce you to anyone I can.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you.
And thank you, friends, for joining me today and every week here on The Confident Entrepreneur, brought to you by True Fashionistas. If you want a deeper dive or you want to check out my courses and how I can help you and your small business, head to jenniferannjohnson.com. Have a fabulous day.